Awesome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our workshop meeting. This workshop meeting looks a little different, so bear with us. We currently do not have power and we're running on generator, so it might be a little loud. So please let us know in the chat if you're unable to hear us, as there are a lot of external noises. We're going to call to order and we will do roll call.
President Valerie Reinthaler.
Here.
Vice President Andrea Datillo.
Here.
Councilmember Deb Castini Klein.
Here.
Councilmember Matt Castiglia.
Present.
We don't have Councilmember Brooke Burchett Williams here and Councilmember Shirley Blair Kohler. They're both absent. And then Mayor Paul Graham-Rath.
Hello,
Yeah.
Greg.
And Greg, Councilmember Greg Donovan is absent. Councilmember Shirley Blair Kohler is online.
Perfect. Awesome. We have 3 residents online. Just wanted to state that. Before we move on to public comment, I would like to say a few words. And then before we end, the end of the meeting, we'll have the rest of council say their comments that they would like. First of all, I want to say many, many thanks to our volunteer fire department, our police, our public works crew, Matt, Brandon, Joe, and Ralph, as well as staff. They have been working around the clock on the weekends, responding to so many things. So first off, I just want to say thank you to everybody for being so responsive and so helpful. I also want to thank our council members, Deb, Andrea, Matt, and Greg, for going above and beyond for our residents over the last week. From chasing down DLC trucks, to checking for the safety of our roads, to informing residents and volunteering over the weekend to keep our borough open so that staff didn't have to come in, even though Michelle still came in. I want to say thank you. I know that, opening up the borough building this weekend was big so that our residents could charge their devices, get some snacks, get water. And we didn't want staff that had already been working extra hours during the week to come and work on the weekend. So thank you all for, taking time out of your day and chaos to serve our residents. I want you all to know that our council and staff have used all of our available resources in order to try to get updates to keep you all informed. I want you all to know that we understand your frustrations because at the end of the day, we're feeling them too. Perfect example is we're here in our borough building and we have no power either. Like you, we're very, very disappointed by the lack of communication from Duquesne Light. They've told us that there's an order in which they restore power, but we still have group homes, elderly residents, and others with serious needs who remain without service. That is not okay, and that is not acceptable. This isn't about the crews on the ground that are doing the work. They're simply just being told what to do and when to do it. They're working hard, and for that, we thank them. The real issue is with how the company is organized and how poorly they've communicated with all of us, staff, residents, everybody. All in that to say, our staff have been working really hard to keep residents updated on their own outside of what Duquesne Light messaging is saying. We've been sending out message through Savvy Citizen, through email blasts, as well as Facebook. So if you are not getting any of those messages, please reach out to staff so that we can get you on one of those lists, whether that's Savvy, whether that's giving you email blasts, or follow us on Facebook. We have been sending out multiple messages a day to keep people informed. Also, I do know that council members have been walking on their streets and talking to neighbors and checking in on them. And it's really amazing in times like this, when we are all at crisis, how we as a community have come together. It has been incredible. I just walk down my street and I see tons of people walking around, ensuring that your neighbors are okay. And that is so amazing to see. And I am really thankful for that. But I just wanted to say that before we got our meeting started and before we started public comment. Thank you all, and we'll move to public comment. You have 3 minutes. We have a lot of people in the room, which is really exciting. So if you would like to speak We'll start with the room first. Please stand up, state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm happy to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, my name's Ann Flaherty. I live at 2019 Garrick. I think most of the people in this room as residents are also on Garrick Drive. Thank you to all those that have been managing this crisis. I'm sure there's a lot of really good stuff that has been done. You pointed it all out. Unfortunately, I've not seen any of that. My first issue, talked to Paul about this today. I talked to the head of communications. I talked to a lot of people today. Communication is a problem. I'm a pretty tech savvy person. I'm not in the 80-year plus demographics. There are people that are in our community. They're not on the internet. Okay, how are we communicating with those folks? There are people that are not getting communication. I received none. My go-to place was the borough website. The only thing that's on that website is that we have declared or we've requested emergency funding. That's not good enough. Today, I learned about these other things. I went door to door and dropped leaflets into my community members' mailboxes to let them know, because they were not aware of Savvy Citizen, Facebook, these other options. So there is a gap, and I'm going to ask this organization, this administration, to address it. Paul mentioned today that there is no database. There has to be a database, okay? If you give me the information, I will build it. This is not acceptable, that we do not know and we cannot communicate with the people that need the information. Okay, number one. Number two, I understand that we are hamstrung by DLC, okay? What are we gonna do about it? This is going to continue to happen. This is not acceptable. We need an action plan. We need actions. How are we going to manage future crises? That's something I'm asking for, an action plan. We don't have one. We cannot be at the mercy of DLC, okay? We need, it may be collective that we may need all the mayors in the East End boroughs to go meet with DLC. I don't know, I'm just putting forth ideas. But this is just not acceptable. There are older people that need medical devices like oxygen. Okay, the answer is not call 911. Okay, people called 911 when this happened up here, right? You know what happened? They said, we can't help you. The neighbors extracted the woman and the child and the Uber driver out of the vehicle that got crushed by the pole and brought them into their house and brought them to the hospital. Okay, that's not an emergency crisis plan. Okay, I'm healthy, I'm young, I've made adaptations. I think most of the people in this room have done that as far as the residents.
I'm sorry, your 3 minutes is up. Thank you.
Just to clarify, so we do have a database. You know, we're trying to build onto it. That's the paper I had inside this afternoon with your email address. If we don't have your email address, we don't have a way to get in touch with you. And we
I
have
thought you
something.
told me today you did not have the resources to maintain or to populate the database.
We do have a
No,
database.
we have
We do.
a database. That's what that sheet is. I just gave,
We have email blasts that we send out.
I gave this.
We could discuss a little bit more about that on there when we talk
Yeah,
about
I'd like
communication.
Oh, we do have.
Yeah. All right, anybody else would like to speak in the room? Absolutely, thank you. Please state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Marty Rydell, 2004 Garrett Drive. I was wondering, anything could be done about the antiquated electric coming, because every month power goes out in my house. We've been there 15 years. I can count 30, 40 times the power's gone out. And it's just, we're actually sitting at home and it actually starts to drip, like drizzle a little bit. Well, the power's gonna go, and it does, it goes out. Is there anything that we can't not go through the woods or go through the trees or any way around it or go underground or something similar that we can, you know, this is
Yeah,
horrible now.
absolutely.
This is like an ongoing thing for years and years and years. Seems like it's not getting any better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
David Turner of 2006 Garrett Drive. I would say, since this, blackout happened, you have to throw out hundreds of dollars worth of food. We had to spend hundreds of dollars worth of hotel bills to get away from the neighborhood because it's unacceptable. Can't live like that. My wife works from home. she depends on the electric being there. We had to go through, like, I have to go drive her different part of, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I second what Marty just said. We've lived here for almost 3 years, and I've lived in 3 other different states, and I've never heard of this, the amount of outages that we've had since we lived here. It's my #1 issue of living here in Pittsburgh. And I can't tell you how many times that I said I was gonna send a letter to the Pennsylvania Energy Commission, and I didn't. This time I'm going to. This is utterly ridiculous. We're in a city that has 3 professional sports teams, and the amount of times the electric has gone out is utterly ridiculous. I'm sorry.
You get it.
It is utterly ridiculous. I cannot believe that we're here in the United States with a city that has 3 professional sports teams. It's taken this freaking long to get the electric back. Do you realize that, like, in Florida, they would have had it back by now with, like, hurricanes and everything? I mean, this is ridiculous. Sorry, I think I said enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and your address. Correct.
Oh, so it's a new way? I like it. J.D. Warren, 2009 Garrett Drive. So just a couple comments, I think, in response, I think, to some of the other comments as well. If you don't know, one of the other things that I've done in my career is handle equity in disaster recovery and disaster planning for health. It seems to me that we're in a situation right now that, forget about looking at our elected officials as the problem. Look at our elected officials as part of us right now and how we address it. Right now, we have a situation where what we're not getting, and I think the frustration you're hearing, is about the communication to us, especially when all the power is down, right? So I'm not wasting it, and I have to be quite clear, right? Like my phone, I have limited amount of power on my phone. I'm not going to get all the savvy citizen when you start putting out, because my phone's dead and I'm sitting in the dark and I've got one thing that I can charge, and I'm charging it through my car. Having said that, I think what you opened with, Val, is part of what people wanted to understand, right? Like, what are we doing as a community to fight with and for us in relation to Duquesne Light, right? Like, how are we contacting? I said to Gavin on the way in, I have no beef, and I've heard no real beef with Abigail, right, state rep, because she's continually said, hey, I've called Duquesne and they're not listening to me, but I'm trying, I'm doing something, I'm giving my best effort, right? And I don't think that we, particularly also at Garrett, feel like we're getting the best effort. We feel like we're abandoned. We feel like we're alone, right? Our power's still not on, right? We're watching it go on in other places, and we're not hearing, hey, we know that you don't have power right now, Garrett, right? We don't hear anything. And when we see the declaration, which is great to know in terms of funds, it doesn't turn into, hey, just so you know, we're still fighting for Garrett to get power. We know that upper end of Garrett doesn't have power. That's one. Two, just to kind of talk to you guys about kind of what can be done and what should be done. There's a real question about equity with regard to how power is distributed, how repairs are done. There is, in fact, I gave the lecture at HUD's disaster recovery, right, for grantees on equity and power restoration. I can tell you that there needs to be a relatively deep dive on the back end of this. Yeah. There's nothing we can do now. Like, I understand that, right? Like you can make 8 more calls to Duquesne Light. They're going to tell you to screw up 8 more times. But we need to plan and to address what happened. The one thing that I can't tolerate is that we go on the back end of this and go, okay, well, that was that sucked, right?
Oh,
We go on the back end of this and we go, and that's why it's, bring Duquesne Light here when this is all, we can't bring them down, right? I understand that, but bring them here when it's done. Let them face their constituents, just like we're your constituents, right? I'm happy to help address that. I know Jay's, Costa's happy to help address that. I know you guys are talking to the same people, right? So, but communicate that to everyone so that they know that part of it, right? I know we've talked about, communication.
You're at 3 minutes right now.
But I know that we've talked about communication in the past. I think there's a difference between communicating when things are going well and how we communicate when there's an emergency. And that's really where we need to be focused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Leslie Giannetta, 2031 Garrett Drive. I agree with Jay. I mean, I think we have a huge communication issue. I mean, we have been out without power for a week. And as far as I know, no one has ever been on Garrett Drive. No one has talked to a single resident on Garrett Drive. We have not received any updates. I mean, why if, I just learned today about this Savvy thing that sends out information that I was not aware of. Every quarter I get your newsletter. I mean, it would have been nice for those people that don't have cell service, that don't have the internet, to get a piece of paper in the mail saying, this is what we're doing. If you have an emergency, do this. You can come up and charge your phone. We're doing this and this and this to give us some kind of update. There's been nothing on our street. And according to everyone on our street, nobody cares. Nobody cares that we've gone an entire week trying to deal with little kids, older neighbors, trying. Nobody cares. And we still don't. We know nothing. I talked to another borough, their mayor. They called, they did not have power. They called Duquesne Light, maybe you ruckus. What a surprise, that night he had power. Isn't that funny? But we can't.
Can I say something?
No one is
Can I
fighting.
say something about that last comment? People need to know, it doesn't matter what mayor, anybody, they have no power over how we're gonna get power. This borough manager right here and our mayor have been 24/7 calling, talking. Michelle on the weekend has been talking to, people at Duquesne Light. I don't believe for a minute, a mayor made a phone call and then all of a sudden there was electricity. And maybe,
Because they went and they jury rigged his wires.
well,
Said
you
he
know
needs
what?
a telephone pole, and apparently there's
You know
no
what?
more telephone poles, so we need a telephone pole. Duquesne Light doesn't have any more telephone poles. Well, they fixed his without a telephone pole.
And
he
you
got
know what,
power.
maybe, certain municipalities, I have a friend in Fox Chapel who still doesn't have any power. I mean, I'm not saying they're cherry picking this or that. They were very fortunate that happened, but it has nothing to do with a mayor not working harder than another mayor. Nobody works harder than that guy, and no borough manager works harder than Michelle. So I just,
I don't believe that.
well, I don't care if you don't believe it. That
Well,
is,
I
that
mean,
is
I
the
don't
truth.
care whether you care. if I
No,
believe it or
no,
not.
because
I'm just
listen,
saying,
I
their
understand.
communication is horrible.
I
We are getting
understand.
no support.
That-
We have,
No, I
you guys
understand.
are elected officials.
No, I
I'm
understand.
sorry, 3
your
minutes are up.
frustration.
Us.
3
I
minutes are up.
understand your, no, I really understand
3
your
minutes are up.
frustration. I
Thank
do.
you.
Mike Seaman, 2003 Garrett. So I want to kind of go back to what Ann was saying, an action plan. Okay, so one of the observations that I noticed after this storm is the lack of preventative maintenance. Maybe this goes into some of the code enforcement. We're walking up Blue Lane. The road is a mess, and it's evident that the trees should be cut back. Now, whose responsibility does that lie on?
Duquesne Light.
Ultimately, maybe it relies on the borough nudging, sending in documentation. This is overgrown. We are going to experience even more rigorous storms.
Yep, you're right
It's
about
gonna
that.
continue to happen.
You're right.
Where's our action plan?
Mhm,
We need to start thinking about what
Absolutely,
other
you're
preventative
right.
maintenance we can do.
you're right.
And come together and start, you know, seeing if we can clear some of this foliage back. I mean, it is
No, you're right.
very unfortunate, because like it's been mentioned, we always lose power on there.
Mhm.
I've been in Pittsburgh all of my life, but we're still. And what's odd is, from my observation, the damage was worse than I thought. Most of their homes have restored power.
Yeah.
What did they do differently?
Mhm.
What kind of pecking order is there at Duquesne Light? I don't know, but I think there is something clear,
We don't know that.
and that's the communication seems to be better. Whatever that may be. And, you know, perhaps they were a little bit more prepared and have at least, you know, remnants of fun.
Thank you. I will say
So-
one thing.
Oh, go ahead.
One of the things that I know our public safety, does is we send out letters to homes that have trees that could be dangerous, that are on their property that the borough can unfortunately touch, they can't do anything about it. To say, hey, this tree is really, it's on the right of way, or it's not on the right of way, it's
What
gonna be an
about
issue.
fines? I'm
There are
talking
fines
about
as well.
fines.
At the end of the day, people can choose to not take care of the tree, and
And that's
unfortunately,
where it needs to
correct.
have some sort of repercussion.
correct. So I did
Because
wanna
this
state that
results in
the
other-
borough does reach out to those property owners to get those trees addressed. At the end of the day, it is the property owner's responsibility to do so, whether they do that or not. But I do agree about code enforcement. We do have a code enforcement officer that was started last year that did not exist before. So we are moving towards that direction. But thank you for that. Anybody else would like to speak in the room?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Dennis Michelli from 2016 Garrett. And we moved here from the East Coast, okay? I've been through hurricanes, nor'easters. I mean, the longest we've ever been without electric on the East Coast, maybe 24 to 48 hours. During a major hurricane, this was a 20-minute storm that blew through here. This is a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace.
Agree with you.
I don't understand. I mean, I have this hardest thing about not understanding why this can happen in 2025. Back in 1960, when I was a kid, I remember the mailbox flying by my house. But you know what, though? We had electricity. That's over 50 years ago. Come on, guys. Duquesne needs to get their shit together. This is,
You're right. You're so
it's
right about that.
embarrassing. I would be absolutely embarrassed.
Mhm.
I feel sorry for you guys. I really do. Because you know what? You guys have gotta be embarrassed, I hope.
Oh, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yes.
To sit there and say that my borough is still without electricity.
Right.
Yep.
It's gotta be terrible. But you know what, though? If there's something that we can do we all need to get together and go down and protest at Duquesne and say, you know what? We need to do something with this. And don't tell me you ran out of a light pole. Please, that's not even an excuse. You're an electric company. You're supposed to have light poles available.
Mhm.
That's appalling. I feel like I'm living back in the dark ages here.
Oh, you're right.
I mean, I've got two grandchildren here who have not seen the day of light or the light of night. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And maybe we should all stop paying our electric bill. What would happen then? We'll turn our electric off. Go ahead, it's already off.
Yeah,
It's off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My turn. My name is Megan Concepcion from 2017 Garrett Drive. I agree with what all of my neighbors have said today. I think, Michael, what you mentioned is, what are we doing preventatively? Right? If we have trees that we know are overhanging power lines that are interrupting our power, what did we do as a borough to address that? What did we do to make sure our power lines were safe from the storm that could come by and disrupt our lives and the lives of the people that aren't here today, the older people, the younger people that are suffering and could really, really, really be impacted from this. And to Dave's point, people are working from home. They need their electricity, right? Sure. What are we doing for that? There are so many implications of this that I feel like we really need to take a step back as borough leadership and don't blame, yes, Duquesne Light we know is an issue, but we need to look at ourselves and really understand, what did we do wrong here? How did we fail all of our citizens that are paying very high taxes? How did we fail our people? Yes, it's really easy to point the blame, and yes, Duquesne Light is at the source of this, but there's something that we could have done differently so that we would not be in this situation. A week without power is totally unacceptable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We know everybody in the room will move to online. We have 1, 2, 3, 4.
8.
8, thank you. 8 people online. If you would like to speak, if you're online, please raise your virtual hand. We will promote you to panelists and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Nobody is raising their hand, so we will close public comment.
After,
Yeah, after.
after,
After, yeah.
after.
All right, we are gonna move on to our discussion items. Sorry, I have my agenda over here on my phone since our printers
Yeah.
are down. Oh, thank you. This is much bigger than my phone. Acknowledge the receipt of our draft meeting minutes from Monday, April 7th agenda, and our workshop meeting at the Monday, April 14th council meeting. Any questions about that? No, all right. Everybody received the various staff and agency reports?
Yes. I will make one note.
Yes.
Gateway's was just added earlier today,
And
so that is in the binder.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move on to number 5, management and government. We put in a declaration of emergency last Wednesday. Wednesday morning. So this is a discussion here to extend or terminate the declaration. Any comments around that
I think everyone's aware the mayor can declare an emergency for up to 7 days.
at a time?
They need to read.
And so it's up to council to decide whether to terminate that, extend it, whatever you want to do. So we did draft a resolution. So if you would want to extend it, there would be a motion to adopt a resolution extending the public declaration. And we would just need to know how long you want to extend it.
Max of
thought-
7 days, right?
Yeah, we can extend it long.
Oh,
But-
really?
The first one, 7, and you can, yeah.
But my thought is you may want to just extend it through the next council meeting, which is next Monday. And that way we can
See how it goes.
see where you are. at that.
Okay.
So it's set up with 2 blanks, but if you wanted to do it for that day, that's May 12th, obviously.
Perfect. All right, any other discussion?
And the declaration of emergency, just to be clear, it doesn't have a ton of practical applicability necessarily, but if the borough, for instance, would need an emergency contract, need to hire temporary staffers, if there's further problems that would arise, it does sometimes qualify you for federal and state funding if there is sort of after the fact funding. So there's no negative, there's no harm in it. So I would recommend, especially while some of these folks still don't have power, it's clearly still a state of emergency. So it would be, up to you, of course, but I'd extend it at least till May 12th.
Somebody please motion it.
I'd make a motion to extend the emergency declaration until the end of May.
I mean, you're gonna be back here
Next
next
We
week.
can always cancel it, right?
Yeah.
Or we can do it till until the next council meeting,
May 12th.
May 12th.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, hi,
Hello?
this is Carol. Can you hear me? Hello?
Can hear you.
You can hear me? I think that's a great idea because Garrett Street is not the only street that's impacted that still does not have electricity. And we are working with other residents coming into different homes, getting their laundry done. So I think that it is a very good idea to take it to Tuesday. And as Matt said, if we need to extend later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And moving on to our finance committee.
I don't have the budget in front of me because my computer's dead. So we're at last look, which was earlier when I still had power. So last week, everything we were up to date, everything's paid. We're right on track with our budget. There is no outstanding wild things that happened. The only thing that happened earlier, as we said, was the snow removal and salts. So that was an overtime that was associated with that. Now, of course, we've had our road crews out this entire storm, so the bill will go up a little bit. We don't have the final total yet, but as of right now, we're right on track.
Any other comments, Michelle?
Just internally, we'll be working with the committee to develop the 2026 calendar. So we'll meet with the committee coming up shortly to get that out and share it with the rest of council and then the heads of the departments as well.
Great. Thank you. Moving on to public safety committee.
So a couple things I'll discuss here. First is, just adopting a resolution to recognize National Police Week, which is May 12th through the 18th, 2025. So we'll have a resolution for that to just
recognize, our committed, public safety and, police force and everything that they do for the borough, and their dedication. And then as far as anything else, public safety, I mean, it's been a week. I will personally apologize to the folks on Garrick. I have been around the borough nonstop for the last 6 days, and I have talked to many different people. If I didn't catch anyone out on Garrick to say, "Are you okay?" That's my apologies. But it's been said, there are a lot of other folks that are still out without power in the borough too, so you're not the only ones. And there's a lot of people that had power and then have lost it and had it back, so it's being worked on. I can't speak for everyone. I know that I attended a critical infrastructure meeting and training a couple weeks ago, and through that, I met the manager of business continuity for Duquesne Light. As soon as I was able and had, was settled and got the trees off of my house and, made sure my children were okay, I was calling and texting that person and have been, harassing them nonstop. At one point, we discussed a number of borough officials driving down to Duquesne Light's headquarters to sit there and say, "We're here, we don't have power, what are you gonna do about it?" Before we did that, we happened to find out there was 1 or 2 crews that finally showed up. So we've been pushing them for more crews. We've been asking and demanding. They have been working. They have been sending crews. We have, Churchill Road got opened and partially restored. They made a lot of progress down in Black Ridge where that whole thing was out. I know you're frustrated. And again, I apologize. I can't do more, but the borough has been using everything we can to try and strong arm these guys to get here. And I'll finally just close and say that I can't speak for everyone, but I have been all over, recently, Forest Hills, Monroeville, Swiss Helm Park, Swissvale, because luckily my friend who had power was like, "Hey, I have a small generator I can lend you." So I drove there to pick it up. I have not seen anyone else with the devastation and the amount of trees and broken lines and poles and everything else that we have in our borough. Talking to the tree crews that have been in and Duquesne Light folks, they get here and they go, "Oh, you're as bad as Monaca and Oakmont and 1 or 2 others." So there are other communities that still are without power that are waiting on restoration that is slowly happening. We're not the only ones, but we were certainly one of the most severe. In the future, I feel like one of the failures, and that's on me, is I don't know that we had a good communication channel with Duquesne Light to make them aware of how bad the situation was. And that's certainly an area where we can improve. So I will leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else with public safety? All right, we'll move on to infrastructure. We can go Cindy or Shirley.
Hi, thank you. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, we met on infrastructure. Michelle, if you can give a report. I don't have everything up yet either.
Yeah, the infrastructure committee met, I think, the day of the storm, early morning.
We missed it.
Talking about how we're currently CCTVing in the borough, and other things like that. The report is in the binder for council to view. Also discussing a possible resolution to recognize the dedicated public works employees that we have in the borough, especially them stepping up right now during this time. Brandon, Jeremy, Ralph, and Joe. So that we will adopt the resolution next week.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll move on to communication.
Before I get to future things we're talking about, I want to talk about our communication or lack thereof, which some people think. We have been trying for a few years now, our mayor, myself, the communications committee, to build a better communication bank with our residents. This is a newsletter. I'm sure you all get it. Every newsletter for the past few years, we tell you, here are different ways you can communicate with our residents. And you know what? In fairness, maybe some people don't bother to look at the back page or who knows what. But I think this is a lesson for all of us that moving forward, this is where you can get all your information. We've been, at Community Day, we pass out a little flyer. Here, this is how you communicate. Facebook, Savvy Citizen, all this other stuff. We try every way possible. When we have a churchville dinner, pass it out. When we have the Easter Bunny Parade, pass it out.
We sent out mailers regarding Savvy once a year.
Yes, and we
To
send out,
mailboxes.
right, to mailboxes. So we really do try our best, but we can be better. In this case, Savvy, Facebook, and what else am I missing? We were constantly, and I have to thank Ashley and Michelle for that.
Email blast now.
And the email blast, yes. We've been trying to collect email addresses. Even when we had people here all weekend long charging up, we had them sign a list because the more people, we have a few hundred now, and we still need more. That's another way we want to communicate. So we're not quite there yet, but that's our database. Somebody was asking about a database. That's our database. We're trying our hardest, but like I said, we can be better, and we are going to be better. I think more and more, if you tell your neighbors, we'll continue to do what we're doing. It will be in every newsletter. Maybe we need me to make it a full page next time. Maybe we're not doing enough to have it right here, but we tried our best. This was unprecedented, and even in fairness to Duquesne Light, they could have done a much better job, no question. And yes, there have been hurricanes in Florida. They're also very used to that. We never had something blow through, the sky was black, and blow through and make such destruction. And like Matt said, well, no, it's not an excuse, sir, but also we haven't had anything like this in decades in Churchill. And I agree with Matt, because I drove around and we've talked to a lot of people. We were one of the hardest hit. If I would say we might have been the hardest hit, but we are definitely one of the top 5, and we've got, and we hope so, because this, valid president.
Yeah,
Public comments.
yes, well, yes,
Yeah.
correct. Thank you.
But valid president still doesn't have power. I just got power a couple hours ago.
I don't have power in my house.
You still don't have,
So it's
yeah.
not
So
just
there's-
church.
It's not just Churchill, but I think Churchill did get hit the hardest. So, I mean, that said, spread the news about getting, telling your neighbors about Savvy Citizen, getting their emails here, everything you can do to help us help you. Because we do want to do a better job. That said,
Upcoming events.
upcoming events, we do have our annual Churchill dinner. It's lovely. Last year we celebrated our 90th anniversary, and we had 90 people we do it at D'Annunzio's in Monroeville. And they do a wonderful buffet for a very reasonable price. You can sign up. If you still have your newsletter. If you don't have your newsletter, it's on our website. If you still don't want to do that, you can call Ashley and she'll take your order and your credit card. But we would really love to see everybody, especially after all of this. I think we need like something fun for our borough. So I encourage everybody to do that. And also I want to thank all the kids that came out for the Easter Bunny Parade. It was really a lovely day, and our mayor is so kind to always decorate his car and drive us around. One thing I do want to say to people out there, we're going to reroute it because I know the Easter Bunny and the mayor seem to
Chatty.
chatty. We end up being a little later than we should, and then later and later. And so we're going to try to find a way to even improve on the route there. But so yeah, and of course, one thing I always mention, our community day, mentioned it several times, mark your calendar. It is Saturday, August 9th. Hopefully the weather will cooperate like it has in the past. And I think that's about it.
Newsletter.
Oh, our upcoming newsletter. We have when is our deadline for
June
next
2nd.
June 2nd, okay. Yeah, so all council, anybody who has, good information that we need to put in there, we will be, so you'll be getting a summary newsletter sometime, I believe in July.
Great.
Hi, Deb. Hi, Deb. Cheryl here. I have one question.
Yes.
In reference to the resident on Garrett Drive that spoke of our communication and working with the seniors. I understand, and that's so heartfelt with me as well. Is it possible that we could do a robocalls to add on to communication?
for emergency services, please, that's something we
Yeah,
should look into.
actually-
Definitely something we should consider.
That's a good idea. I think we should consider that.
Mhm.
Right,
If they would be willing when they sign up for robocall, Deb, if you
Right.
can maybe, see if they would like some of the announcements that you just gave, just closer to the event. You know, I'm sure that they would not want to get robocalls for everything that the borough is doing. But,
And that's
okay.
for emergency services,
Right.
but it'd have to be a cell phone.
well, and that's another thing I want to say, for emails, we're never gonna bombard you with a ton of emails. It's just important things or, the
Events.
Churchill dinner, events coming up, that kind of stuff. So you don't have to worry about like, oh God, I don't want to give them our email, we don't want anything like that. Savvy Citizen, of course, we're always gonna update, but surely that's a good idea and let's all look into that. Yes,
Thank you. Private action.
here I am. I don't really have anything for climate action, except I want to thank everybody. We did a workshop, a composting workshop a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it was free, but it was sold out, which was terrific.
Wonderful.
We really had a great turnout and I think we educated a lot of people and we want to do more things like that. To help our environment and that was so popular. We might, and there were, a lot of people talking about it, that we may do it again. Who knows, 9 months or so, but we also want to do other things similar to that to help our neighbors, so,
That's awesome.
yeah, no, I was.
How many people did y'all get?
We got 50 some,
Wow.
yeah. We couldn't hold anymore, we were gonna originally do it in the chambers, but that can only hold so much, so we switched it to the Eagle Room. And that's capacity, fire hazard, can't have any more, so we had to close it out at like 55, I think,
Wow,
so that was
that's
great,
incredible.
yeah.
Thank you.
That's it,
Brooks not on,
no.
Crystal, okay. All right,
Under school, I'll just mention that I was fortunate enough to attend one of the musicals
yeah,
this weekend and, it was fantastic production. The kids worked really hard on that. I believe there's a couple of the students that were nominated for Gene Kelly Awards, so keep your fingers crossed and
that's amazing.
it was wonderful to see that.
Yeah, I was there too. It was just fantastic. Every year, it's just fantastic. They do a great job.
Dear, didn't know,
Greg's not on.
Greg's not on. Did you have something?
Can I say one thing about
Yeah.
the school?
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank the school district as well too. They were giving out free meals.
Mhm.
The power was out for families, which I thought was amazing. Me having 2 young boys, that was home from school because of this whole situation. It was just, we were thankful that they were giving out meals.
That's awesome. Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Couple comments. First off, with the code enforcement, I talk with Scott all the time about code enforcement. And we go back and forth. They'll write a citation to a offender, whether it's trees, garbage cans, home maintenance. And what happens is they get that, they might do a little bit and then they stop, or they totally ignore it. Something called due process, so you can't just go over there and start doing things. You have to send them another notice, and then a third notice, and they have to end up down in front of the magistrate. Magistrate says, okay, you've got 30 days to start cleaning some things up. They clean up a little bit and then you stop again. So the circle is started all over again. Some don't even start cleaning up, they just totally ignore it. I mean, it is very frustrating for me as mayor and as a resident of this borough, when I see people who can't take care of their property. These are not unreasonable requests. High grass, something needs painted, fix it. If the trees need cut down, I had trees cut down on my property, they didn't have someone else to do it. I knew they had to come down. So I wanted to talk about that. And since when this storm was over last Tuesday, as soon as I was able to get out on the road, I went out. I was out all night long. I was on Garrett several times. Now, I didn't see anybody out there, not just that night, back and forth, because Lewin Lane was closed, so I'm traveling back and forth. If I saw someone outside, I stopped my truck to park, and I got out and I talked to them. I talked to a lot of residents. I know a lot of residents throughout the borough. So they were calling me and saying, hey, did you know this was done? No, I didn't know that. Okay, then I would report it back to the borough. So we just spent an awful lot of time there. Michelle, myself, Matt, we're down here almost 10 o'clock at night. Those guys were cutting trees down there. They said, we gotta go home. It's dangerous for us to be outside. Because cars were still coming through they moved the cones to get through the barricades to continue on. So we finally went home, but we've been doing an awful lot of work. I understand your frustration. If like I said, if I saw you outside, I can't knock on everyone's door. If I saw someone outside, I guarantee you, I stopped and I talked to them. And people know me, they can call me. I never refuse a phone call. As far as the database, we go back to that. You actually said you would help us with all that. So we'll talk about that later. And like with getting older people, we don't know who's incapacitated and how someone. Borough has no way of knowing that. We need to find out how that works. Who needs help? I know someone was telling me, your mother was telling me someone in the Church of Mansions. The elevators were out. She couldn't get downstairs. She didn't have oxygen. That wasn't working. Neighbors over there took care of it. It's a tough situation problem.
And I think you bring up a good point, Mayor, of like, we rely on all of you all, residents, to inform us. I know of the elderly folks that live on my street. I have communications with them. I check in on them and I let the borough know, like, hey, this person's driveway is blocked. Or, hey, please reach out to the borough and let them know this so that they are aware. So we rely really on all of you all for those pieces of communication too.
And someone sent me a text this morning. There's a line 10, 15 feet out of their back door. I don't know that. And she sent the pictures to me. I forwarded them to the office. Make sure the Duke King Light knows about it. Again, you know, we would like them to go right away. It's just dangerous.
Right.
You know, we don't know where we go from there. Let me see. Oh, the communications with the residents. Again, you know, we use that same system. We've been using it at least 5-6 years now. And it's always been out there.
Yeah.
And I forget the numbers. You asked me the number, I was telling you. We do have a percentage. We have.
Madam President, maybe excuse, I have a family emergency.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
There's 1,500 homes in this borough, that's roughly 3,000 people. So to reach everybody is pretty hard. I've made it my mission since I've been mayor, I take a welcome packet, every new resident who moves into this borough. I knock on the doors. Sometimes I go back 3 or 4 times. And I kind of have to stop doing that because it takes a lot of my time. I go one time now, if I don't get you, I wish I could have. I just can't keep going back and forth. And I was trying, because I wanted to personally welcome people to this borough, because, excuse me, we have a nice borough to live, not nice, it's a great borough to live. We all stick together, like Deb says, about the bunny parade. I know it's hard, you don't want to hear about that now, but when times are good, these are the things that bring a community together, whether it's Santa Claus riding around in the fire truck, or the thing we have here, the Easter bunny, whatever we do, it's for our residents. It's all for our residents. Right? And you know, we're trying to make this a better community, not better, keep it a good community. And we can use help from the residents too. So if you want to volunteer, we always take that. I'm done.
Thank you, Chief.
Oh, well, I'll start by saying I do understand all your frustration, and I'm enduring it myself because I don't have power at home. It's been a week. I was working the day of the storm. I worked almost 17 hours that day. I've been in the emergency services for 36 years. I've been police, fire, EMS, rescue, EMS, a 911 supervisor. I've done just about all of it. There are 2 catastrophic events that stand out in my head. 1997, which was much, much worse than this, when Turtle Creek and Pitcairn and parts of Monroeville were buried under 14 feet of water, and several people lost their lives, including a dear friend of mine who was a fellow firefighter. That trumps what happened here in a microburst the other day. That said, nobody's minimizing what happened here, but at the core of it is a Duke King Light issue. There is nothing that me as the police chief that night could do. The 911 center, I have a video of scrolling through our screen. We had 77 calls waiting to be answered. I drove from street to street. There were trees through houses with people trapped. Fortunately, none of you were those people. Now, those people could be here and have the same frustrations and blame the borough for not taking care of a tree or or blame the borough that they've been losing their power for 30 years, or you all as residents have responsibilities too. Come to the meetings. We put out so much information at these meetings. We ask people to attend. We make resources available. I've never seen communication in all my 36 years working for 7 different municipalities. I've never seen communication better than this. When the power's out, your phone lines are down, how are we gonna communicate with anyone? If you can't charge your phone, how are we getting in touch with you? How many times have you called Duquesne Light or gone to the Public Utility Commission about your power going out? Or suggested rerouting? Right, but that's not a borough issue. Everybody's frustrations are, we totally get it. I'm frustrated that the neighborhood I'm living in doesn't have power either. But I can't go to my elected officials and point the finger. I've seen what these people have been doing. They've been out on the street. They have families too. They have full-time jobs too. They're out on the street, knocking on doors, checking on people. So we all understand where you're coming from, but we're all in the same boat here. You're preaching to the choir because we're all experiencing the same thing. These people live on your streets around you. We were doing absolutely everything we can. And I'll mention the Lewin Lane incident. I was there for the Lewin Lane where the car crushed. Nobody reported a car crash. It came up as a 911 hang-up call from number 40 Lewin. On the way to that, we found the tree down, which no one called about the tree. When I got there, a neighbor had extricated a woman and her infant child out of the back seat, which was never reported to 911 on any level. No one knew there were people in the car. When I got there and I found the tree, it wasn't until 5 minutes later that the driver of the car approached me and told me his car was under there. I couldn't even see it.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a 911 saying we can't help you. That's total misinformation. And it's not fair to the people who invest 16 hours and are out there in the rain doing everything they can to be helpful to the residents, to have people come in with misinformation and say, we were told nothing to be done. Who told you that? 911 told you that? Well, the guy, if it's the guy I talked to, I had a lengthy conversation with his wife who took them to the hospital. He never once said they were told that we couldn't help. He never mentioned that to me one time. So I don't know where this comes from, but the bottom line is in 36 years, I've seen 2 events this bad. This is nothing compared to the first event that I referenced from 97. These type of events expose your weaknesses. There's plenty of blame to go around. You as residents and homeowners, there's plenty of blame we could put on you for not taking care of your own property. For taking care, you see something, your power goes out 30 times, you should be at Duquesne Light meetings yourself. They hold public meetings too. But nobody does anything, and then something like this happens, and there's very little pointing this way, and there's all kind of pointing here. And for me, it's frustrating because I know everything that we're doing, and I know the heart and soul that these people are putting in way above and beyond most communities. And they're getting not only no thanks or recognition for it, but they're getting finger pointing. It's inappropriate. I understand your frustration, but we're all in the same boat. I don't have power either, but I'm not going to go to my elected officials and ream them out and point the finger at them and say it's unacceptable. I understand how mad you are, but you're in here all amped up at the same people who are dealing with the same problem you have. We put out, I've never seen communication like this. When was the last time you were at a council meeting? When was the last time you went on the borough website or watched a YouTube video that we make? Like nobody does anything. And then something like this happens and it's, what could we do better? Absolutely. That's a discussion we should have. But it's not just your elected officials. It's everybody in this room, including the homeowners and the residents. If you want to be communicated, how are we supposed to get in touch with you? Have you given us the means to communicate with you? Have you given us your cell phone number or an email? If we don't have it, how would we get it? If it wasn't important then, it can't be important now, and it can't be our fault. So I'll close with that. But again, we're doing the best we can, and we still are, and we'll keep going that way until we get everything back to some level of normal. So
It's gonna take a while.
yeah, a long
It'll
way.
take a long, long while.
I think to your point,
Thank you,
chief,
Chief.
there's a lot of frustration.
Yes.
There's a lot of frustration.
From everywhere.
There's a lot of room for improvement. There's work that will need to be done after this.
Yeah, Michelle,
For
can you
certain.
mention
Thank you.
Thank you.
that? Michelle, can you talk about the garbage?
Yes, so I have been in communication with Waste Management through their director to see what we can do for residents that have streets that are currently blocked. Trying to figure that out, what we will be doing. I'll be talking with our staff, public works director, to see what other options we can provide if your street is not passable by the truck.
Which there's many still right now.
Yes, so please look to our social media and our website, Facebook, to see how we go about that.
Great. Just do you want to talk about the dinner tomorrow?
Yeah, sure. So we're also, if we have power, right now we're running on a generator, but if we have power, we will be hosting a dinner tomorrow in the Jaeger room. We'll have pasta, meatball salad. This is, strictly from our council members. This has nothing to do with taxpayer money. This is just them putting up their money to provide a dinner for residents that have been impacted by the storm. We encourage you to come out. It's from 4 to 7.
No, you, who don't have power.
You'll have
I
power.
know it's a little gesture, but we at least wanna do something to let you know, we do care about you.
It will,
So we're out getting for preparations for tomorrow, but
it's
4 to,
4 to 6:30,
6.
right? 4 to 6:30. If we have power, we'll be communicating through all our channels. If we do, we're able to still host it. If not, we'll wait another day and still have the dinner for those that have been impacted.
Right.
Um,
Maybe you have power, but you lost a ton of food in your
Yeah.
refrigerator. Please,
we
please
do have
come.
a dumpster down in a lot now.
that's what
Yeah,
that's what Michelle was saying for the food.
This woman's doing the cooking. She is.
I think that one of the comments I heard here tonight would be good if we can put a banner on the website, specifically when we're gonna host that.
Yes.
Yeah, so that it's like on the front page.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's a great idea and that's
Mhm.
Actually, I believe it was when Ann was in earlier, he made the suggestion that we should update one website. We were doing a lot
I
of
agree.
Facebook,
Mhm.
savvy, emails. So we're gonna have we made a page already. I think it's a form update.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
Awesome.
Go to the website and click more, we will have, updates here.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
I gotta go.
Thank
Thank you, Chief.
Working hard.
Yeah, it's just, Wilkinsburg, that's the part of
Okay.
Got it.
So on here, you'll see information that we're getting from Duquesne Light, also information on roads that are currently closed. Power issues that we're having, also for individuals that do need assistance with getting food. We had a couple calls from individuals saying, they are gonna have a hard time restocking.
Yeah.
So that's on our website as well.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you. Maybe you could, send out through social media and through Savvy a link towards this directly so that people can keep updated.
Yeah.
We're kind of doing like a repetitive communication though, so
Yeah.
we'll do Savvy, Facebook,
Facebook,
and then website.
Website.
We'll have the same stuff.
perfect.
And maybe an email blast too?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Anything else from council? Go ahead, Deb.
I just want to say I was here all weekend when, we're helping people plug in and all that, and it was so nice to meet a lot of new people.
Mhm.
And, we're all kind of in the same boat I was plugging into because I have no power. And I want to make a special thank you, a gentleman, Jim Hoven. He came, Hoven? Horvin. He came with, Hoven, okay, I thought so, Hoven. He came with his guitar and started to play some really cool music.
Oh, that's
I mean,
awesome.
We got some Pink Floyd and Steely Dan and some other, and it was just really so nice to, have
Yeah,
some.
you might know James from Community Day. He
Community
usually
Day.
plays at Community Day.
Yeah,
as well.
he usually plays at our community day. He's wonderfully talented, but I just, a shout out to him because I thought that was really nice that he did that. And also, some residents brought some food and cookies and some water, and I'm thankful for that. And also, I'm just so thankful, and we all should be, that as catastrophic as it might have been, no one got hurt and no one died. And we should just be all thankful for that because it just could have been much different. And, please check on your neighbors. If you have elderly neighbors or someone with a disability or someone living alone, please continue to check on them. That's all.
Thank you.
Mhm.
One thing, we have another musician amongst us, Marty, who I've known for for quite a while. One of my best friends, who was his teacher, he lives uptown with Anthony. Maybe we get some entertainment at Community Day, because we've talked about it before.
We actually played last year.
That's
You
right,
did
that's
say
right.
That's year. That's right.
Yeah.
Did you look for Michael Hooks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, that's good. Oh, good. Oh, good.
That's awesome.
That's good.
That's awesome.
And to anyone else out there, if you have my contact, always feel free to call. Tina knows me.
Or for the borough as well too, use the borough line, we have anyone have an update on the line?
I know someone took the barriers down when I was coming over there. I don't know what that was all about. Someone took the road closed sign and at least one of the cones. I did talk to Officer Charles. He was gonna ride up there and see if it was gone. I haven't checked back with him yet. As to where they were.
So no, my understanding, talking to the guy that's running the crews that are currently in the borough. There's like 3 line crews currently in the borough working, again, they got Churchill Road restored, they're currently have been working up on, I think, Holland, because it was right around the corner, and they said, okay, let's move the tree crew, let's move this crew, they have to follow each other, and then all the stuff back in Royal Oak is down. What he said is they're here till it's finished. His hope was that sometime tomorrow, they would get one of the crews finished up with some of that to get moving to Lewin next. So it's on schedule, they understand, they know about it. There's, I can't guarantee that, but that's what they're saying.
They've been out as late as 10 o'clock working. And we've been out.
You know, there was on Holland, there was several people that were trapped in their houses due to the trees. They weren't able to get out of their houses at all.
And, there's been extensive damage. There's, I think one house in the borough may end up being condemned because of the amount of damage that they had. The volunteer fire company, went in, and the pictures, I mean, there's the bathroom's gone, their whole roof's open, there's insulation that came, like they have fiber insulation, their entire house looks like it snowed inside because the branches just came through, so.
Really scary.
Yes.
All right, anything else?
Don't forget to sign up for the Churchill dinner.
Yeah, I have a whole list of.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, stuff. So yeah, I still have a
Go
bunch
for
of comments. So I will first just make an update because I have it. So, I'm basically just gonna read this verbatim. I texted the contact that I have, the commercial, person from Duquesne Light, and said, hey, folks, we just had a large outage in Churchill, the high school's back down, the borough building's back down. They said, thank you for this info, we'll get right back to you. It's probably due to the weather, and I said, well, I don't know which weather you're talking about, because I've been sitting here and it's sunny. And the update is that I guess with the winds, and there was a little bit of storm further away, what they basically said is that there's still gonna be a lot of branches hanging up in the trees, over lines where they haven't been, or out in the lines that come through. And a little bit of wind can knock them down and then knock power back out. So we may be dealing with this for a little while. They said that they're working on it. They tried a couple of things. They have a troubleshooter working on it right now. So they are aware, they are here. They don't have an answer of when it will be, but that's the update I have, so I'll share it. I think a couple of things that I, thoughts was, Wednesday evening, late, I was out chasing crews and came up to the intersection of William Penn, and there was a multi-vehicle accident. Cause the light being out and somebody didn't see somebody else or came flying through. It was a pretty bad accident. There was someone trapped in the car. I pulled over and, put my headlights on so people could see and, got out, put my vest on so that people would hopefully not come and hit us again. And we stood there and waited, and I said, did somebody call 911? They're like, yeah. And we waited and we waited and we waited. And when the police officer finally showed up, because I guess that's covered by Wilkins, not Churchill. So I was, meanwhile, I'm calling, our Churchill officer who was on another call saying like, hey, can you come up here? No, I'm tied up. The Wilkinsburg officer showed up and said, hey, what's going on? And, this goes to being clarity and communication and making sure we're providing all the information. They said, well, we got the 911 call and they just said it was a fender bender. It's like, no, it was a large accident. There's people trapped in the car, but he said, we're running 27 different calls. This was low priority. That's why you had to stand here for 25 minutes and wait while it's raining and someone's trapped in the car because the right information wasn't given. So I think, again, that's an area where in hindsight, I think that there's an opportunity, again, to figure out with Duquesne Light to work in the future and go, hey, this isn't just, oh, there's power out because there's a branch down. This is 5 trees came down and knocked out 7 poles on one road. and broke all the lines and someone's, can't get out of their house. Right? And so that clarity of communication is important. I would like to take a moment to just, reiterate and thank our volunteer fire department. They've been running nonstop with all of this. And just responding when all the branches were down with people that needed help, helping people that need stairs, all that kind of stuff. They've been assisting with that. And then even as we start getting power put back up, they energize an area and there's a branch that they didn't see or couldn't, didn't realize was sitting on a line and it starts on fire, or a transformer that was damaged that, again, you can't see, it looks fine from up there, but a branch hit the line earlier, damaged it. It's been off since, it looks fine, and it catches on fire. So they've been nonstop running calls. Thank you for your service. Same thing to the police as well. Our public works, again, our public works came in Saturday. The crews were working with Duquesne Light. They said, hey, this one tree is really large. We're gonna have to keep cutting it in smaller and smaller sections. Can you get your backhoe? I made a phone call. One of our guys came in, they got the backhoe from the salt shed, and that helps speed up so we can continue working. Right? These guys are dedicated. I thank them for their service, for coming in. They dropped what they were doing with their family to say, hey, Duquesne Light needs an X, Y, and Z resource. Let's get it to them. Again, I'll just reiterate, I think the comment about updating the borough's, website, I appreciate that. That's great. I don't think of that. I always go to Savvy Citizen, but the more ways we can do that, the better. That's awesome. And then I'll just close and say, what I have seen through all of this, which has been exhausting and frustrating though, is a community that truly cares about each other. I have seen people cutting trees for neighbors, helping folks drag stuff, to the street, checking on neighbors. I know Andrea has cut tons of trees for friends and neighbors, got our chainsaw and been offering, I'll come out. I've cut tons of trees for friends and neighbors. When I drove out right after the storm, again, people coming out onto the streets and saying, okay, let's work together. And truly, if people didn't care, they wouldn't come to a meeting like this and say, hey, here's ideas how we can do better. So I appreciate our community members. I understand the frustration. For a personal perspective, where I grew up in the Poconos, on the East Coast, there was multiple times growing up that we didn't have power for a week plus. Hurricane Ivan took out hundreds of trees in my neighborhood and we didn't have power for a week. So I'm maybe a little more used to this, that for this level of devastation and trees down, it takes time. And I'm sorry we can't do it faster or do it, anything else right now, but we're trying.
Thank you.
I think I'll add too, we are working to get a chipper for the borough. To have our public works department driving around the community for a couple of days. So we'll take large brush and we'll have the scale and sizes and all of that on our social media and stuff, but you have to put that to the curb. We'll come by with our public works department and the chipper and then take that away from you. We can't take like
big
whole trees.
Yeah, logs.
But if you cut the big logs up, there'll be plenty of people looking for free firewood.
Yes,
Right.
come check my house.
Your patio.
Yeah, yep.
And I guess one last thing, I'm sorry, Val, you thanked a bunch of other folks, but thank you for your dedication and time as well.
Thank you all. Matt was, the storm happened. I told him I was trapped in my house. He came to my house immediately. I was like, who's at my door? Matt trying to get us out of our house. That's what it was. I didn't ask. He just came by and helped us get out.
And you
So,
still
thank
don't
you.
have power.
And we still do not have
And your
power.
patio was destroyed.
And our, $11,000 worth of tree damage. Just to get rid of our trees from our house.
You were blocked in at both ends.
Yes, walking on both ends, yeah. So we had to walk, yeah. Yeah,
With
well,
with two little kids.
two little kids, yeah. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for coming and sharing your experiences and your frustrations. We become better because of you all. So thank you.
And you're welcome back anytime.
Anytime.
Yeah, come back.
Twice a month, we're here. Come hang out with us.
Whenever you
Twice
come
a
again,
month.
stop by.
Twice a month, come hang out with us.
Bring cookies, so. We always like snacks.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.